My name is Anna, and at 48 years old, I feel it's time to tell my story. It isn't an easy one to share, but it's an important one. A story about love, profound pain, and the difficult journey toward forgiveness. When I was young, I met a man named David. Our story began in a small, quiet coffee shop. I was lost in a book when he approached my table. "Is that book any good?" he asked with a gentle smile. I smiled back and replied, "Yes, it's my favorite." That simple question sparked a conversation that lasted for hours. We discovered we loved the same kind of music, shared a deep appreciation for nature, and both dreamed of having a big family. A week later, we met again, and soon after, we started dating. We were incredibly happy. A year later, we were married. I remember standing there in my white dress, holding his hand as he promised, "I will love you forever." And I believed him with all my heart. We moved into a small house, nothing grand, but it was a home, warm and filled with our love. David was a teacher, and I worked in a local flower shop. Every morning, he'd kiss me goodbye before heading to work, and every evening, we would sit on our porch and watch the sunset together. Soon, our family grew. We had 2 beautiful daughters, Lily and Mia. David would look at them and say, "They're beautiful, just like you." He was a wonderful father. He loved reading them bedtime stories, helping them with their homework, and he affectionately called them his little stars. My life revolved around our home and our girls. I cooked, cleaned, and cared for them, and in that life I felt happy, safe, and deeply loved. David's love wasn't in grand gestures or poetry. It was in the small, everyday things. It was in him saying, "Wear your jacket, it's cold outside," or "Take a rest, I'll wash the dishes." That was his language of love. As the girls grew older, I returned to work full-time. David also changed careers, taking a demanding job at a large company in the city. The dynamic of our life began to shift. He started coming home late, always looking exhausted. When I'd ask if he was okay, he'd brush it off, saying, "I'm just busy, don't worry." But something felt different. His easy smile became rare, and our conversations grew shorter. He began to lock his phone, a small act that felt like a wall being built between us. He stopped calling me during the day. A cold sense of dread started to creep into my heart. One evening, he told me he had to go on a work trip. "Okay, be safe," I said, but my heart felt heavy, as if it knew something I didn't. He was gone for 3 days. When he returned, there was no hug, no questions about the girls. He just walked in and said, "I'm tired, I need to sleep." A few days later, my friend Sarah came to the flower shop. She looked nervous, unable to meet my eyes. "Anna," she began, "I saw David with another woman." I felt the blood drain from my face. "No, that can't be true," I whispered. She insisted. "They were holding hands, Anna, I'm so sorry." My own hands started to shake, and a bitter cold settled in my chest. I closed the shop early, went home, and waited for him. That night I confronted him. "Do you have someone else?" The silence that followed was his answer. He just looked down at the floor. "Please, just tell me the truth," I begged. Finally, he spoke. "Yes, I'm sorry." The next question was the hardest. "Are you leaving me?" He looked at me, his eyes empty of the love I once knew, and said, "Yes, I love her." I didn't cry, not in front of him. I watched numbly as he packed a bag and walked out the door. When it closed behind him, my world shattered. After David left, everything changed. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. The house, once so full of life, felt cavernously large and silent. Every corner held a memory that now felt like a ghost. I had to tell the girls. Mia broke down in tears while Lily, ever the more direct one, asked, "Why did Dad do this?" I had no answer for her. All I could say was, "He is still your father and you must respect him. But he hurt me very much." The nights were the worst. The bed felt cold and empty, and the silence was deafening. One day, Sarah came by again. "Anna, let's go out," she urged. I refused, wanting to stay in my cocoon of misery. "You need fresh air, please," she pleaded. She took me to the children's hospital where she volunteered. "Come and meet someone," she said, leading me to a room where a little girl named Alina was sitting up in bed. Alina had no hair from her treatments, but her smile was radiant. "Do you want to see my drawing?" she asked. It was a picture of a bright sun and two people holding hands. "It's beautiful," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "That's me and my mom," she explained. "We go to the park in my dreams." Tears welled in my eyes. Sarah told me how many of the mothers slept at the hospital, never going home. I looked around at them, at their tired faces, and saw that they were still smiling for their children. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about Alina. The next day, I went back to the hospital with flowers and cookies. Seeing the children smile sparked something in me. I started going every week, reading stories, painting with the kids, and even finding sponsors to help pay for their medicine. I listened to the mothers' stories. In helping them, in giving them hope, I started to heal myself. I was no longer just a woman who was left behind. I was someone who could make a difference. My daughters saw the change in me. "Mom, you are so strong," Lily said one day. We started to feel like a family again, cooking, walking, and laughing together. 10 years passed. My daughters grew into wonderful young women, moved out, and started their own lives. I was still at the flower shop, still visiting the hospital, still finding purpose in helping others. Then, one Mother's Day, I was sitting with a cup of tea, waiting for my daughters to visit, when there was a knock on the door. I opened it to find David standing there. He looked so much older. His hair was gray and his face was etched with weariness. "Hi, Anna," he said. "Can we talk?" I was speechless. "I'm sorry," he continued. "I made a terrible mistake. Can I come in?" I stepped aside. "This is your old house. You can come in." He sat on the familiar couch, his eyes scanning the room. "It feels the same," he murmured, "but I feel different." I waited in silence. "She left me," he said finally. "The woman I left you for, she lied. Her child wasn't mine." He looked so small, so weak, nothing like the man I remembered. "I have nowhere else to go. I don't want your money. I want to say sorry. Please forgive me." I looked at David, and a storm of emotions washed over me. Pain, anger, confusion. But beneath it all, there was something softer, perhaps sadness, perhaps a flicker of pity. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I simply said, "You can stay in the guest room. It's clean." He nodded, relief flooding his face. "Thank you." That night, sleep was impossible. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind a slideshow of memories. Our first day in this house, our wedding, our daughters as babies, and the day he walked away. I also remembered Alina at the hospital, the little girl who inadvertently saved me. Now David was back, and everything felt heavy again. The next morning I made coffee. David entered the kitchen looking uncertain. "Good morning," he said. "I I just nodded, placing a cup in front of him. We sat in a thick silence. After breakfast, he went outside and started fixing the broken garden fence. I watched from the window. He moved slower now, but he worked with a quiet determination. He didn't say anything, he just worked. In the evening, I made a simple dinner. As we ate, he said, "I miss your cooking." I looked at him directly. "You made your choice, David." He looked down at his plate. "I know I'm sorry." When my daughters visited that night, they were stunned to see him. "Dad, what are you doing here?" Mia asked. David explained that he had made a mistake and wanted to fix things. Lily pulled me aside. "Mom, are you okay with this? You don't have to let him stay." I told them I just needed time to think. Days turned into weeks. David stayed in the guest room. He fixed the garden gate, cleaned the windows, and repaired a broken chair. He gave me space. One afternoon, my granddaughter, Emma, came to visit. The moment she saw David, her face lit up. "Grandpa!" she shouted, running into his arms. It was the first time I had seen a genuine smile on his face in years. "Grandma," Emma said, "Grandpa said he missed me. Can we all go to the park together?" I didn't want to, but her hopeful eyes were impossible to resist. At the park, as Emma played on the swings, David and I sat on a bench. "Thank you for letting me come back, Anna," he said. I replied honestly, "I haven't decided anything yet, David." He nodded. "I understand. Take your time, I will wait." My friend Sarah visited and after seeing David, asked me if I was okay. I confessed, "I don't know. I feel angry, but I also feel sorry for him." Sarah offered some wisdom. "You don't have to forgive him right away, but maybe this is a chance to heal for both of you." Her words stayed with me. The next morning, I made breakfast and called David to the table. He looked surprised. I took a deep breath. "I don't know if I can ever fully forgive you," I said, "but I want to try." Tears filled his eyes. "Thank you, Anna," he whispered. "I will do everything I can to make it right." From that day on, we started talking more. He apologized again and again, admitting how selfish he had been, how he never appreciated what he had. One evening in the garden, he said, "I don't expect you to forget, but I hope one day you can forgive." I looked at him and said, "David, I will forgive you, but it will take time. You have to show me you've changed." And over time, things did get better. We started to laugh together again, remembering the good times. We talked about our daughters and our granddaughter. We even watched the sunset from the porch just like we used to. One morning, he brought me tea in bed. I looked at him and joked, "Be careful, don't spill it this time." We both laughed. It was a small moment, but it meant the world. I still don't know what the future holds, but I have learned that forgiveness is not a single act, but a long, difficult process. It takes time, love, and immense patience. Maybe one day our family will feel whole again. It won't be the same as it was before, but perhaps it can be something new, something stronger, and something more honest. I hope you found meaning in this story. Anna's journey is filled with complex emotions, difficult choices, and incredible strength. What do you think? Should she forgive David completely and start over, or should she move on and live her life alone? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please share your opinion in the comments below. Your feedback helps us bring more stories like this to you. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.